Hey, what's up, everyone? I hope you're having a good day and are ready for our continuation of the series for Java interview questions. So I have three more questions. This is going to be questions 4 through 6, and let's get to it. All right, so our first question is, what's the difference between method, function, and subroutine? So if you want to take a moment to answer that question, you can pause the video and then we'll continue right after. So this is kind of a tricky question if you've never heard of a subroutine. It's kind of an old school term and not too many people use it now. But essentially a subroutine is similar to a function, except that it does not return a value. So the technical definition would be subroutine is a set of instruction that performs a task packaged as a unit, which is just like a function. So the difference is that a function is essentially a subroutine that returns a value. Now, in terms of what a method is, well, a method is a subroutine and a function. They're kind of synonymous and can be used interchangeably. But the key difference is to know what the difference is between a subroutine and a function, which is the function returns value, a subroutine does not. Now, our second question is, what keyword is used in Java to allow you to perform inheritance? If you've done some Java coding, you probably already know this. It's probably easy. But if you're new to Java and you're just getting started, maybe you don't know yet. Extends as the keyword is used to inherit from a class. So this could have been a trick question in a way because some people might think implement, but that's used for an interface. Now our last question for today is, what's the difference between overloading and overriding? Now you should not only be able to answer what the difference is, but provide an example too, in case they ask you to. And the answer is that overloading is related to compile time polymorphism. Now that's kind of like a fancy way to start answering it, but essentially here we say that this feature allows different methods to have the same name with different signatures, especially number of input parameters and type of input parameters. All that means is that when it comes to overloading, we're just dealing with methods that have the same name but different parameters. And if you have multiple methods with the same name, the one that's going to be called is going to match the type and number of parameters that you use when you call the method. And we'll show you an example. Overriding, on the other hand, has to do with runtime polymorphism. And here we say it's a subclass or derived class that provides a specific implementation of a method in a superclass at runtime. All that means is that we deal with inheritance when it comes to overriding. That's when we're actually using the extends keyword in order to inherit from a superclass. Let's turn here to an example for overloading. Here on lines 5, 9, and 13, we have three methods that are all using the same method name called meth. The only difference is that the first, on line 5, accepts one integer, the second accepts a string, and the third accepts an integer and a string. So when we expand these methods, we could see what the work is going to be done when they get called. And on line 17 here is where we begin to set things up so that we could call these methods. So if we call, as you can see on line 19, meth and just pass in an integer, it's going to call the method on line 5 and then just write out that integer. And likewise on line 20, if we're passing in a string, online tutorials rule, that's going to call the second method, which is on line 9. And likewise for line 21, which is going to call the method on line 13. So when we run it, we get our output. For overriding, like I mentioned, we were dealing with inheritance. So on line 5, we define a class called Tesla, and on line 7 we have a child class called Model 3 that extends Tesla, so it's going to inherit from Tesla. So depending on which object we invoke, it's either going to print what's on line 7 or line 13. 7 saying that Tesla, this car is electric, or line 13, Model 3, this car is electric and the most affordable Tesla as of, well, in 2021. And you can see we are instantiating the objects on line 19 and 20 and then invoking them on 22 and 23. So when we run our code here, we get this output. All right, so just keep in mind that when you're dealing with overriding, it has to do with inheritance. And then when we're dealing with overloading, it's just number of parameters that distinguish methods that have the same name. All right, so that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions or other type of interview questions that you've experienced in the comments. And that's it for now. So if you like that video, hit that like button. You know that definitely helps me out with the algorithm. And also to check out more videos in the future, go ahead and subscribe, hitting that notification bell too. And to my left here, you can see a couple more videos that you could check out. So until then, I will see you guys in the next video.